at the height of the Aztec Empire, in the middle of the last millennium. A warrior's directive was holy and unequivocal. Capture the enemy and sacrifice them to the gods. In modern times, the nation has risen to the top of the ruins of that ancient civilization. Look to their modern-day warriors for more symbolic inspiration. But there's sanctity that endures to their pursue the expectation that every time a Mexican fighter steps into the ring, he's representing his people to a number of deities, judging from above. So this is Mexico and they are fighters. In so many other places they might get lost in a sea of sporting heroes. Boxing has always been a popular sport in Mexico. A national sport that opens a gateway for poor people, a chance to get to the top. Boxing isn't a middle-class sport and it certainly isn't an upper-class sport, it's a working-class sport, a poor man's sport. It's a platform to pull yourself out of poverty to become rich, to become successful, to become a national idol, possibly a global icon. Many young Mexican fighters who practice boxing look up to idols. Idols such as Juan Manuel Marquez, his brother Rafael Marquez, Julio Cesar Chavez Sr., Marco Antonio Barrera, Eric Morales, and Saul Canelo Alvarez. They look up to these boxing legends and say to themselves, if they can do it, I too can also do it. 30 to 40 years ago, Mexico was the cradle of boxing. There were thousands of boxers who were involved in the fight game. It was an industry at that time, producing champions and legends, one after another. As time goes on and the standard of living goes up in countries, we find that people get involved in boxing, one of the most difficult combat sports that there is, and we can all agree with that. Mexican boxers come to fight. They don't come to put on an exhibition of the noble art, hit and don't get hit. They weigh in and start throwing punches from the very beginning to the end, and they will fight to the very last second to try to win. That's what differentiates Mexican boxers from other nationalities. Their sheer grit, their share of determination. It's not a question of winning, it's a question of willpower. Who wants it more? Who wants to win the most, almost as if they walk into the ring saying it's more important for them to win. Remember, many of these boxers come from very poor backgrounds. They have to win. They have nowhere to go if they lose. They understand this far more than both you and I. There is enormous motivation because of this, and also because of the tough, hard upbringing. No luxuries, no benefits, no one ever gave them anything in this world. So they have to take it with their own fists. Ignacio Nacho Bernstein, a Hall of Famer, is a genius boxing trainer who gets the best out of his fighters. Also, with the quality of good champions in his gym, he attracts young Mexican fighters with the hope that he can lead them and transform them into champions in the future. There's no secret in Nacho's gym from the very beginning. He makes it known that in whether to compete in a difficult level of competition and accomplish the hard task that lays ahead, it requires enormous sacrifice, a high level of determination, and dedication to reach the pinnacle of boxing championship status. One good example: Antonio El Tornado Margarito, badly beaten and battered by Manny Pacquiao. A reporter asked, "Why didn't you just quit when you had no chance of winning?" He replied, "I'm Mexican and I will fight to the end." Of all the never-ending stories that embody the Mexican nation and its people, there's no tradition as deeply embedded here as this one. Nothing else invokes as much history, inspires as much pride, infuses so perfectly the notions of where they're from and who they are into one. So this is Mexico and they are fighters. But here in Mexico, fighters stand apart. They're carriers of a history dating back not just generations, but centuries. A Mexican fighter was asked, "Who do you believe in?" He raised up both of his fists and said, "I believe in me. I have no other choice." Fundamental value of a tradition is all that it connects people, places, and perhaps most of all time. In the modern history of Mexico, the idea of fighting as a noble cause has endured as a vestige of the ancient past, capturing the imagination of every generation that emerges, the hope of every young puncher who walks into a gym. In this land, if you decide you want to be a fighter, you become part of something bigger than yourself. Willing to put everything at risk. Your body. Your pride. Your name for the slim chance to be remembered forever, long after one's greatest days have passed, but also to give themselves over to this singular, sacred, and everlasting tradition. Mexican fighting tradition.